The world is remembering the longest reigning monarch in Britain's history. Queen Elizabeth II died peacefully at Balmoral Castle in Scotland yesterday at the age of 96.
She marked 70 years on the throne this year. All four of her children and her grandson, Prince William, traveled there to be at her side in her final moments of life. Many are also reacting to her death on social media. Singer Elton John tweeted, "I'm deeply saddened to hear the news of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth's passing. She was an inspiring presence to be around." He went on to say he'll miss the Queen dearly. The Archbishop of Canterbury tweeted a statement saying that he joins the many throughout the country and beyond in mourning, and went on to say, "May the Queen rest in peace." Lauren Blanchard brings us a closer look at her life and legacy.
Although Queen Elizabeth II was born into the royal family, she was never destined to be queen. So when the Duke and Duchess of York announced the birth of their first child on April 21st, 1926, no one could have guessed their little daughter, Elizabeth Alexandra Mary, would one day rule Great Britain. All that was to change, however, when Elizabeth's uncle, Prince Edward, abdicated his right to rule to marry an American divorcee. Elizabeth's father reluctantly took the throne, becoming King George VI in 1936. 10-year-old Elizabeth became his heir. But in 1952, while in Kenya, Elizabeth learned her father, the king, had died.
I declare before you all that my whole life, whether it be long or short, shall be devoted to your service and to the service of our great imperial family to which we all belong.
Elizabeth was to rule in a new era. Her coronation in 1953 in all of its splendor was the first to be broadcast on television. In 1957, Queen Elizabeth met President Eisenhower. She would go on to meet every other serving U.S. president since, except Lyndon Johnson. She often spoke of the strong bond between the two nations, saying it extended beyond military ties.
The two sides of the ocean have never been closer.
The 90s was a turbulent decade for the royal family as the marriages of three of the Queen's children fell apart amid relentless TV coverage and tabloid headlines. But there was worse to come in 1997 with the death of Diana, Princess of Wales, in a car accident in France. At the time, the Queen was criticized for her reserved response and persuaded to make an unprecedented live broadcast.
So what I say to you now, as your Queen and as a grandmother, I say from my heart. First, I want to pay tribute to Diana myself. She was an exceptional and gifted human being.
In 2011, the Queen attended Prince William's wedding to Kate Middleton in April in a ceremony claimed to have been watched by 2 billion people. In 2013, the Queen welcomed her third great-grandchild, the much-anticipated Prince George, son of William and Kate. He now becomes the second in line to the English throne. 2 years later, he was followed by a sister, Princess Charlotte, now third in line. But in 2021, after almost 74 years of marriage, the Queen lost her husband, Prince Philip, just weeks before his 100th birthday. His funeral took place during the pandemic, and in a poignant photo, the Queen sat alone as she and other members of the royal family paid final respects and laid Philip to rest. From an early age, Queen Elizabeth was one of the most recognizable royals in the world. Nearly a third of the planet looked to her as leader of the Commonwealth. She managed to combine the truly regal with a countrywoman's simple pleasures, and she embodied old-fashioned values of virtue, faith, and self-restraint. Lauren Blanchard, Fox News.
The memorial continues to build outside the gates of Windsor Castle. Mourners could be seen laying flowers in her honor. The flag over Buckingham Palace was also lowered to half-staff.
A pilot of a flight going to London also announced the death of Queen Elizabeth to passengers. Take a listen.
Very sad news that our Queen, Her Majesty the Queen Elizabeth II, has died following an extraordinary reign of 70 years. Obviously, our thoughts, as I'm sure many of yours are with her family, those that loved her, and of course the people of the UK and the Commonwealth. And certainly all of us here.
And here's a live look at the White House this morning. Flags there lowered to half-staff in honor of Queen Elizabeth II. President Joe Biden also shared a few words on his memory of the Queen. Biden says she was an iconic figure in British royalty.
I just stopped by the British Embassy to sign the condolence book in her honor. I had the opportunity to meet her before she passed, and she was an incredibly gracious and decent woman. And the thoughts and prayers of the American people are with the people of the United Kingdom and the Commonwealth in their grief.
The NFL also held a moment of silence for the Queen last night. That happened before the league's season opener between the Buffalo Bills and Los Angeles Rams at SoFi Stadium in Inglewood, California. She was the longest reigning British monarch whose rule spanned 70 years. In our next half hour, we'll show you a tribute by a British singer during his concert last night.